guess we should. I'm gonna. Lynn, you want to do that?
Okay. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
to the flag
Flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
which stands
One nation.
one nation,
Under God.
under God, indivisible,
Liberty.
justice for all.
Thank you.
I use the outside flag.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Robin Aki. Councilmember Marv Beam.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Gaddis.
Here.
Councilmember Jody Shirley.
Present.
Councilmember Rita Swope.
Here.
Vice Mayor Glenn Gunn.
Here.
Mayor Joseph Manzo.
Here.
City Manager Lynn Reeves.
Here.
City Attorney Fred Riley.
Here.
All right, thank you, everyone. The first item of business is to approve the agenda. Do I have, and I guess we're just going to have to we kind of do this slowly because if we get more than one person talking at once, we're not going to know who's talking. So will somebody make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Marv Beam, and I think that was Rita, seconded.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to open up discussion only because I have two issues. So, but Marv, you moved it, so you can speak first if you have anything.
No, as we go down, I will. Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay. My only issues, there was two of them. One, we have citizen comment as number two, which is something we don't normally do for special council meetings. And I don't have a problem with that if there's citizens that would like to speak to us because we haven't spoken with the citizens in a while. I just don't see any ability for us to respond or speak back on anything that they say because they haven't had it. So I would just ask that if we want to leave citizen comments in as number two, that we just dispense with our typical ordinance and allow the council members to address any citizen comments up at number two because there's no other place to do it.
I say we leave it where it's at.
Well, if none member agree with that, there's no ability to rebut it. So if there's no ability to rebut it, then the citizens aren't going to get any comments because in terms of any feedback. We're going to listen to them and then we're going to say thank you and there'll be no feedback whatsoever if we leave it. So I'm not saying move it, I'm just saying there needs to be council members rebut it or we need to add a spot for council member comments at the end of the meeting like we normally have on a regular council meeting. That's my first issue. My second issue is on the consent agenda, item 6. There are, I have no problem with it being on the consent agenda, except we're missing exhibits A and B. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to approve that on consent agenda. So I'm going to ask that be moved off consent agenda with someone's adjustment or a motion to move it off. That's all I had. Other than that, the agenda is fine.
Lynn, do you have A and B on it?
We have it on electronically, but it's just a document. I didn't provide it. Document. Really, what this is for? It's for the NPDS control. It's just reauthorizing the NPDS permit, which we are a co-committee with Nellis County. For water.
There's nothing new or different about it. We're just reauthorizing.
Pardon?
There's nothing new or different about it. We're just reauthorizing.
Right.
Okay, I'm good with keeping it on there. Hey guys, it's Robin. Sorry I'm a little late.
Thank you, Robin.
Can I ask you a favor? I'm sorry to interrupt. Patty, would it be possible for you to mute your telephone to where other
Okay, let me try that. It was working, I know what you're saying. It was working fine, and then somebody dialed in and it started doing what it's doing now, but let me
That
try.
sounds great.
Let me
That
try.
sounds great.
That's better. We were getting a pretty bad echo. That's good.
Yeah, I'm getting it here too. I can't even really understand, so let's see what happens. And when we start talking again, and I'll try to mute it if it does it again, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
All right, folks, that's all I had. So do with it what you want. If somebody wants to make a motion to adjust it, fine. If not, we're going to go forward with the agenda. But then I'm not going to entertain comments on citizen. I'll entertain citizen comments, but I'm not going to entertain council comments. So I don't know if there's any citizens there that are ready to speak, Lynn. You tell me.
Lynn's in his office so he can get better reception. Mayor, there are no citizens here.
Okay, so it's moved. All right, we're not going to worry about it then. What do you want to do, Mayor? Documents. I don't want to. I don't like approving contracts that I don't see the whole contract. So.
Mayor, there's only one question I have on the consent agenda, to be honest with you, and that's number 6. And this is water quality. Since Pinellas County heads this up, the only thing that I would like to see done, or at least document, let's say document, not done, is the fire hydrants checked periodically for the proper pressure and flow, with the fire department coordinating with the county and making sure the pressure is correct and the flow is correct. The other thing on our island out here, where I live, we've got
I just want to get number 6 off the consent agenda. That's all I want to do is bring it to the regular agenda, and then then I would like to hear your comments. But we can't, if it's on consent, there's not going to be any discussion. So it's up to the council if somebody wants to make a motion to amend this agenda by taking 6 off consent and putting it on regular. We'll pass it, but I think we have to address Mark's questions and the missing exhibits.
All right, then I'll make a motion to move item 6 off the consent agenda to the regular agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Dave Gaddis seconds. We have any further discussion on that? Okay, so up for a vote is going to be this is just to adjust the agenda, so we would be taking, it's to amend the agenda, so take number 6, the consent agenda, we'll move that to item 7A, or 7B, so 7 will be 7A, and then that'll be 7B. So follow the authorization to award the services contract. We're going to move it right down. Can we do a voice vote on this? I think it might be easier. Does
Yeah.
anybody have a problem with doing a voice vote?
No.
No? All in favor of making that agenda change and then accepting the agenda? Aye? Anyone opposed? I didn't hear anyone opposed. That's 7-0. The agenda is passed as amended. Okay, we now move to citizen comments. Patty and Lynn, would you please ask if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? If so, same rules, 3 minutes, they'll step up when I get speaking to the telephone and just ask that they speak loud and clearly so we can hear them.
Mayor, there are no citizens present at this time.
Okay, then there being no citizens, I'll close citizen comments with no comments. Next comes the Pinellas County Sheriff's report. That was just that we had a report given to us. The sheriff is not there to make that presentation. At least when I spoke with Lynn, that was the way it was going to be. Lynn, there has not been any change from that, correct?
No.
Okay. So you have the information on there. Did anyone have any questions for Lynn to bring back to the sheriff?
Mayor, the only question that I'd like for Lynn is, over the weekend, we've had some commercial trucks parked on Gulf Boulevard between 3rd and 4th, and we had a lot of cars with boats being pulled into the island and other areas of Bellear Beach, and some trailers here and there, because I roamed around the neighborhood and saw a few. So I would only hope that the other ships, besides our code enforcement officer, report these or do something about them.
Yeah, I'll pass that on to the sheriff, to Captain Liner, and he can send a directive out.
All right, thanks, Lynn.
Lynn, to Mark's point, 7th Street, the boat launch, I've seen several boats coming down the street. They don't have tags. I think you even caught a couple people yourself. It seems to be, it's not a lot of people, but it's ongoing, so there's definitely some issues. And I also note that on this report that we got, there was a drug arrest. And when you have a chance, if you could just find out what's going on, why we had a drug arrest in the city, it's something that we normally don't have. And I also note there's been a lot of activity on Alita lately, and I don't think it's Marv, so I'm just wondering what's going on up there, because there's been some significant stuff that I've seen not on this report, but on the weekly report that I get from the sheriff. So just wondering what's happening.
I can address that actually. Basically what happens is when they're watching the four-way at Bayshore and 22nd, and that's the first turn where they want to get off of 22nd Street. So that's why they're being stopped there. I don't think anything's going on Alita. I think it's just, that's the most convenient place to keep them completely embarrassed. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Okay. Anybody else have any questions regarding the sheriff's report? Okay, thank you. So then we have the consent agenda. We have two items that remain on it. It's the approval of the March 2nd, 2020 City Council meeting minutes and the approval of the March 23rd, 2020 special City Council meeting minutes. We'll approve them as a group. Do I have a motion to approve items 4, 5, the consent agenda?
So moved.
And Jody moved it and Dave Gaddis seconded it. We'll take a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It passes 7-0. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, we now move to the regular agenda. Item 7A is the authorization to award a professional services contract for stormwater improvements on 7th through 8th Street. It was brought by the city manager, and it is a contract with Engineering Sciences Group Incorporated for design and engineering. Lynn, do you need to preface this, or should I just take it straight to the motion?
Yeah, this is just our stormwater project for this year. I did go out and get quotes from the other engineering firms. DPWG gave us a quote, but they did not include everything. And then the other two were $38,000 and $40,000. So this was the best price that we could get.
You've worked with these people before, right, Lynn?
Yes.
Yes. You were satisfied?
Yes.
Lynn, what is the status on 9th Street? Is it not going to be included in this project, or is it for the future?
No, it's a future project.
Okay, so it is in the works.
Well, we did put a check valve in there, and the last couple times, high tide and stuff, there has been no water in the street. Actually, I'm looking at my spreadsheet. 9th Street is, the next project next year is 12th and 13th, which is one of the worst ones. And then 9th Street is a couple years out for the major project, but we've already put a check valve in there to prevent the flooding.
Mayor, I've got a question about Glenn Gunn here. I'd like to be recognized, Dr. Lynn Reeves, for a second.
Sure.
Lynn, you had the manufacturer come out and take a look at the valves when you had some leakage. Did they make some modifications or improvements to those valves?
Actually, they replaced them.
Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's all.
They brought their engineer from Sweden here and spent 4 or 5 days with us. So.
Can I just point of order, can we vote on this before we start asking Lynn questions?
Yes, we can. Do I have a motion to bring this to bring this forward, the authorization to award the service contract?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rita Swope moved it, and Mark Bean seconded. We'll go back to Rita Swope first, if she has any comments, and she moved it.
Yes, I'm all with this project. We have a huge issue on 7th and 8th Street with the floods that come with high tide and everything else, so I see no problems with it. Lynn, I appreciate all the work you've done and all the research, and just want to thank you for doing that.
Okay.
Council, other comments?
Yes, no one else has anything. couple of, just concerns, I guess, would be is, well, I appreciate we need to move forward with these projects. The issue that I see with spending, I think we should put a freeze on spending because it was brought to my attention that there was possibility that our income might change considerably due to sales tax. This is per Lynn, this is a quote from Lynn, and my concern is no one seems to know how that's going to affect our income. And until we get the stormwater fee approved, I think we better take a step back and hold off on any approval of spending money at this point. Anyone else?
The only thing I can say on this one, I think we're good for this year, but coming next year, that's where the problems may start. So when we do the next budget, that's what we're gonna have to watch.
I agree with Councilman Bean, and the citizens on these streets are going through really high water. And we need to get this fixed. And it's just been in the budget, it's been in the plan for a long time. So I don't see any reason why we should delay moving forward with it. The only concern is the budget is based on projected income. I was told by Lynn that projected income is changed considerably.
Well,
So everyone's okay with just spending money without any concern of what the projected income looks like?
Mayor? Yeah, this is Lynn. I would not, we'll know better what our tax, we talk about tax and local option tax, we'll know better where that's at, the end of June, or in June. But this is the engineering, and we would still have to bid it out, so I don't see any reason to wait on this project.
This is just the design portion of the contract, right? What is the actual construction portion, you think?
It's, the total project is $400,000.
Oh, wasn't the 400 in this year's budget, or is that next year? Where is that project in terms? I'm not so worried about the 26,000 right now, but to Glenn's point, when is the project itself scheduled for?
It's in this year's budget, and we would still have to bid it after the design and permits are obtained.
So we'll have a better idea. I mean, when will you have a better idea on sales tax revenue?
We'll probably get our first flush shortly after the 1st of May, but that'll only be for about a half month. And then we'll really know the 1st of June with the whole month of April what the impact will be. I think the impact, just from a guess, is probably going to be somewhere between 75 and 100 at the worst. I don't think it's going to be any more than that.
Hey, Lynn, is that something our accounting firm can put some numbers, give us some projections on so that we're not just blindly making decisions without that information?
Well, the problem is we haven't got our taxes from March that we normally get in because they don't come till a month later. And so they could guesstimate all day, but they're not going to be able to give you a good number till we see what the first half month is. Then we might be able to say, okay, well, a half month was $10, we'll just say, and a normal month is 20, then we're going to lose 20 in April. So we have to wait till we actually get those figures from the state.
I hear what you're saying, and I would like some feedback from our accounting team as well. I don't think I don't think you're in a position to give us that information. Once we get the March payment, let's get our accounting firm involved with those numbers.
Yeah, we've discussed it. The
Okay.
accounting.
And then, gotta be done, and I know there's a whole process that takes place once the engineering is complete. But no, moving forward on approval of spending $400,000 is gonna be a tough, cookie for me to swallow without some firm numbers on those, income reductions. Because
Yeah,
there's reduction in
we'll have,
income.
we will have them by the time this goes to bid.
Okay.
Okay.
So because this is a sequential kind of thing, we go ahead and do the engineering study now, have that in our back pocket, ready to go if all the accounting data lines up and says which way we go, yea or nay. We still need this, whether we delay the construction itself or proceed.
Right.
So might as well just go ahead and do this now.
Right, it's not wasting money.
And I think Jody makes an extremely good point that we have to get a handle on where the finances are going to go. But also, Lynn, I mean, last year, after we got done passing the whole budget, we found, and I'm still not sure where we found, $300,000. If we are ahead of the game and you've been doing cost savings during the year, then I think we need to take a look at that projection too, because although you might be 75,000 short on sales tax, you know, you may have saved it someplace else, which would, I hope you did. Maybe that would be great if that happened. So I think we.
Well, I would think, Mayor, that what we would want to do is, if that's the number as an example, I think we'd want to look at some of the other capital projects, because this would be more critical than some of the other things that we're saving money for.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. This has waited a long time, to Councilmember Swope's point. This has been a long time coming, so. Any other comments?
That's why yeah.
Mark?
No, go ahead, that's fine.
No, I was just asking. Anybody else? Before I take it to a vote, Rita Swope moved it. Do you have any final comments?
Yeah.
Let's, Patty, will you call it by individual, please?
Sure. Councilmember Beam,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis,
Aye.
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Swope,
Aye.
Councilmember Aki,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
Aye. So it passes 7-0. City Manager, you may award that contract to the stormwater improvements on 7th Street and 8th Street. And if I need to sign it, I guess we'll get it signed and back to you, and we'll move forward on that. And then you'll come back to us with an estimate on the tax impact and see where we're at before we start spending the big money that's coming up down the road. Correct?
Right.
Okay, good. All right. So then as item 7B, I'm going to move on to authorizing the city manager and mayor to execute the interlocal agreement for water quality monitoring and assessment with Pinellas County. It was moved by the city manager. It's part of the NPDES MS4 permit program. Before we get discussion on that, can I have a motion?
So,
Barb, moves it. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Jody.
Yes.
Barb, I'll move to you. You have first comments?
all right, the comments I'm just going to bring up again, and that's my concern. If we monitor the fire hydrants with flushing and coordinate that with Pinellas County to make sure that we have the proper water pressure in the system when a fire hydrant is fully open. And the next thing I would like to ask Lynn is if we could follow up and make sure that all our dead end relief valves that we have, or flush valves, are flushed at least once a year, or whatever interval that they use at the county level. Because I haven't seen that done for a couple of years, unless that's possible.
Yeah, I'll have to talk
I have to say about it.
I'll have to talk to the fire department about this and how, if they have a list. I think you're mixing apples and oranges here. the water quality monitoring that we share with the county and all the cities contribute to it. Our fee currently is $1,600 a year that we contribute to this monitoring. So,
All right, Lynn, I understand we're monitoring it, or the county's monitoring it, but if we're gonna do that, I just don't know how far all these other papers that are involved that we don't see, what they all include or whatever, but water quality would be at least forcing the system every once in a while on these dead end relief valves that they have.
right, and I'll talk to the fire department about that.
All right, thanks. That's all.
Add something, they have been flushing every week on Harrison Avenue, so I don't know what the rest of the neighborhood looks like, but I can tell you, we have 2 hydrants, they flush them constantly.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on Louisa Flush for quite some time, although I don't know if they forgot about it or whatever.
Hey, just a point of, well, I guess I'll call it information. Somebody, I think we had that line open again. We're getting that echo again. I don't know if that's Patty or Lynn.
It's coming from Glenn. Sorry, Glenn.
Glenn?
No problem.
Well, that ends that problem. Thanks, Glenn. Any other comments by council on this? My only comment is what I said before. We're missing the exhibits. I don't want to hold this up because I do realize it's probably a pro forma county contract. I would like to see the exhibits. Lynn, I mean, exhibits are hundreds and hundreds of pages. Just PDF them to me or something. And I don't know if anybody else wants to see it before they vote on it. I trust that there's nothing in it that's going to be problematic.
No, Mayor, this is, like I said, this is a interlocal agreement that is part of our NPDS that we have to do every year for our stormwater. And so I can get you all those documents. It's a fee that the city pays to the county to do the monitoring for us because individually it would cost us several $1,000s if we did it on our own. So that's why you see all the cities that are listed. They share in this.
Yeah, I have no problem with the agreement. I was missing those exhibits, and I'm assuming you have looked at the exhibits and you found them to be okay, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to hold it up because of it. I just wanted to bring it up so everyone knew about it.
Now, are we looking for no change? Is that basically we're just looking for a repeat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other comments? Marv, you moved it. Do you have any final comments?
No final comments. All the questions have been answered.
Madam Clerk, can I ask you to take it to a vote by individual?
Okay. Councilmember Beam?
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis?
Aye.
Councilmember Shirley?
Aye.
Councilmember Swope?
Aye.
Councilmember Aki?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gunn?
Aye.
Mayor Manzo?
Aye, and it passes 7-0. So, City Manager, you're authorized, and I guess I am too, to execute that interlocal agreement. You'll send us a copy of those exhibits, and but that's not going to hold us up. We'll get that signed and get that on its way to you.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so now we move back to the regular agenda. We're now on item 8. This is consideration of Resolution 2020-03. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, adopting the City of Bel Air Beach neighborhood traffic calming policy and establishing an effective date. It was moved in by the City Manager, or requested by City Manager. This is the process to request, evaluate, and implement appropriate traffic calming measures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dave Gaddis and Jody Shirley. Dave, you moved it. You have first comments.
Yes, much like our variance Board of Adjustments process, this is actually a great tool. It is very much needed. Basically, it prevents one or two people from hijacking the streets and requires more of a majority. And it's perfectly laid out where move forward. And I like the process. I'm completely behind this.
Anyone else? And I had.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Swope.
I agree with all that, and actually it's sad because right now I'd love to see more traffic in our area because the traffic calming for the last 45 days has been horrific, horrible. But anyway, I do agree with everything that Lynn has prepared for us as well as Councilmember Davis's comments.
Well, let me come along and just have a little rain on the parade because I'm famous for that. Lynn, I had some comments that were made, and you got most of them changed, but when I went back through this again, there's still a couple issues that I have with the way the policy is written. So it's relatively straightforward. On page 2 and 4, let's go to page 2 first. It says guidelines, and it talks about collector streets, and on page 4, it talks about collector streets. Yet we don't define collector streets because I don't think we have collector streets. And I asked that be removed, but somehow you removed it from the definitions, but you didn't remove it from the detail, I think. So I don't know if you want them in or not want them in, but if you want them in, you have to define what a collector street is.
Okay, well, I can add that if, I would consider a collector street for us being, 22nd Street is a collector street, Bay Shore is a collector street, and then the streets that go out onto the county are, of course, partially collector streets. So, if I didn't think I took the definition out. I went through and took all your comments that you sent me and tried.
I have one more, but no, it's page 2 doesn't, right up on top where it says goals and guidelines, it doesn't have to define collector street. So, if you want to put that in, unless anybody has an objection, we could just pass it with you adding that to it, and, I don't see a reason to delay it. I did have a question, though, for you, my original thing, and it didn't get addressed in it. It's on page 4, where you actually, it's page 5 also, where you actually define the volume of these streets. Lynn, I don't know what the volume of our streets are, but I see that you have to have average daily trips of between 100 and 500 vehicles a day. I look out the window all day long on 7th Street here, and I don't seem to think that I have between 100 and 500 cars. So, and then certainly greater than 500. I don't know how many streets, because keeping in mind Gulf Boulevard and Causeway are out. So how many streets even come under this in our city? And that was my question. I don't want to be, by definition, excluding large groups of streets over here because they don't have the right volume.
If you take the volume from the traffic studies that we've done on Donato, 22nd Street, those are significantly more than 500 trips a day.
They are, okay.
So, we could change the annual daily trips to between 0 and 500 because I was just trying to keep a reasonable number for all the other streets. Like ours is an example because it's a loop street.
Right.
There's if we put a traffic, I'll give you a good example. If we put one down on 1st and 2nd, those numbers were significantly more than 100. So, if you would like to see that change to 0 to 500, then that's fine.
How does 50 sound to everyone?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
It's good with me.
50. Because this way you get a street that has no traffic. We're not going to waste our time. If you get some street that's a dead end, it doesn't matter. We go with 50. That's the only comments I had. Other than that, we're good. I like it. I agree with Dave Gaddis. It's a very good policy, and I think it does provide a very good framework for what happens if someone does wish to challenge it, and it sets out the framework. It also sets out the framework where if you don't like the result, there's a procedure for taking the result away, but it's not something that's going to be done easily, and I like that. It's something that has to be thought out, and that's great. Good job, Lynn.
And just to clarify, all of this through the process, it still has to be budgeted for. So it's not
Right.
like we're going to snap our fingers and do it today. So
And it also still has to be approved by council. So council, ultimately, you can go through everything, as Jody Shirley just brought up over here, if we have a budgeting shortfall. You may have the greatest idea in the world. It might have to wait a year until we have the dollars. So the council will get the last say on it, but I do like that there's a very good procedure in place once we vote on it. So that's great.
Okay.
Any other
I've
comments?
got a question. Apparently, there was a list of questions or concerns submitted, and I've never seen those, so I was wondering what else was on that list, and are there things that were removed from this policy that we're not aware of?
No, mainly it was just maybe how a word was written. It wasn't, the mayor's comments, really were more, I'll call them a lot more grammatical and how I was wording things. That was really all.
So grammatical rather than substantive, and, I just did the math, if the average day is 12 hours, 50 cars, you're talking 4 cars an hour.
Right.
So that's the math we want to have in there?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom number really is going to have no effect. I mean, I know
Yeah, I agree.
on my street, there's more than 4 cars an hour.
Most of them are? Okay, I'm good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Any other council members? And Patty and Lynn, I'm assuming that there's no citizen comments because there was no citizens. If someone comes in, just alert me so I can call for citizen comments, okay?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And just for the record, since we've already passed it, I don't want to get in trouble here. Consent agenda, regular items 7A, 7B, we did not ask for citizen comments. There was no one in the room during that time on any of those votes, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
No.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so no other council comments then on item number 8. Marv, I believe you were the one who moved this one.
Hey, let's.
I'm sorry, Dave Gaddis moved it. Dave Gaddis.
Yes, I'm good to vote whenever you guys are.
Okay. Madam Clerk, will you call it by name?
Councilmember Beam,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis,
Aye.
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Swope,
Aye.
Councilmember Aki,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
Aye. So it passes 7-0. The resolution's adopted, and City Manager, you'll go forward then with this and integrate it into our procedures and policies for the city, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, then we move on to item 9, consideration of resolution 2020-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, adopting the 2020 Pinellas County Local Mitigation Strategy, making the local mitigation strategy function as the City of Bel Air Beach's floodplain management plan, and establishing an effective date. City Manager asked for this. Description is the local mitigation strategy presents a unified county-wide strategy toward a more disaster-resistant community. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Swope makes the motion. Marv Beam, were you second?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Swope, you made the motion. You have first comments.
I think this is a very important program, and once again, Lynn, you've done an excellent job preparing all of this stuff, but I don't have any issues with any of it, and I do think that we should move forward with it, that we need to be unified in our strategy towards a disaster-resistant community with all of our other communities.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to move it to a vote if there's no other comments. Madam Clerk, will you call it by name? We'll call the roll by name.
Councilmember
So
Beam,
this is consideration of the resolution as I just read it 5 seconds ago, 2020-05, to accept the local mitigation strategy, which is the whole thing on item number 9 that we just did. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Beam,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis,
Aye.
Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Swope,
Aye.
Councilmember Aki,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye. Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
Aye, so it passes 7-0, and again, City Manager, you'll move forward with that as it is written, and you'll present it to the county then on our behalf, correct?
Right, after you sign it, Mayor.
I will, yeah, I guess what we'll do is, can I sign the copy, do you have to get me presentation copies, or the ones in my book good enough? I may have written on the ones in the book, so,
We'll have the sheriff deliver the originals so you can sign them.
sounds good. I'll be here all day tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, item 10 is this is the tough one. Consideration of the plan to reopen the city facilities, COVID-19. The city manager's asked about this, seeking city council input on the reopening of our parks, beaches, and city facilities. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Dave Gaddis and, I'm sorry, who seconded it? Aki? Okay.
Aki.
Okay, gotcha. David Gaddis, I'm going to move to you first set of comments.
Sure. I've been watching what's going on. I get a lot of reports from various businesses, and we've all been watching the news. And I'm actually leaning towards reopening our beaches for our city. I don't necessarily want it to be a hub for vacationers, but I see no reason at all why we cannot walk the beach and enjoy what we have. I just don't see the need to have this closed. I do understand it on a countywide basis because it was being abused by our neighbors just north of us. But overall, I see no reason at all why we can't just say this is our beach and we're going to open it up to our citizens, our residents, and allow them to enjoy the sunshine. If we were working inside right now, we would be wearing masks and we would only be 6 feet away from each other. And there's no way that I would ever believe that walking the beach is any less dangerous than that is.
Thank you, Mr. Gaddis. Anyone else?
Yes. Can I chime in, Aki?
Robin Aki?
Yes. Obviously, I have a completely different perspective on this whole COVID since I've been going to work every day on the front lines and dealing with patients daily and going to the hospital and seeing everything. So I personally think it's a big mistake. I think there's a false sense of security right now. We didn't have as big of a peak as we were anticipating because we flattened the curve. And I'm nervous that if everybody starts going out willy-nilly, then we're going to have a second peak, and it could even be higher than the first. So, and I get it. Like, yes, I would love to be able to walk on the beach with my fellow citizens, but let's face it, if we open our beach and Clearwater Beach doesn't, all of a sudden we're going to get a huge influx. Not tourists necessarily. People aren't going to be driving down from Iowa to come to the Florida beaches at Bel Air Beach. But you're going to get Clearwater, you're going to get Largo, Bel Air Bluffs, you're going to get every surrounding area coming to ours. And I know you're thinking, well, where are they going to park? Where is it? They'll find a way. They'll do it. And I just worry, and I don't want to be the first beach to open and be the cause of the first peak, the first hub of new illnesses that could go back to Bel Air Beach. So I would say I would not open our beach first. I would wait until all the other beaches countywide opened. And I would say, I know it's difficult, trust me. For as bored as you guys are and how much you want to go out, I want to be home. I've had to go to work every day knowing that I can bring it home to my family. And I would love to be quarantined at home and bored out of my mind. Like I said, I have the completely opposite perspective. So I would say no. If it's our individual beach, no. If we're going to go along with the county and do it all as one, then that would be better. That's it.
Thank you.
I would like to go ahead and add my comments at this time. This is Councilmember Swope. I agree and echo with Councilmember Gaddis. People do need to be able to get out, and also Councilmember Aki's comments. I understand your position and I appreciate it, but I think people can stay 6 feet away even when they're walking and exercising on the beach. We go to grocery stores that's got 300 people in there that don't know at all, and you're really not 6 feet apart from them in the aisles or anything else. So, I mean, I understand the seriousness of it, but I also can see the other side. These communities have been shut down. Nobody's working. People are out of jobs. We've got to get back to some normal activity and opening up the beaches where they can walk along the beach with their, significant other or their families. I don't see an issue with that. If they are nervous or concerned about being close to other people, then they can go ahead and stay home themselves. I mean, self-quarantine themselves versus everybody being ordered to. So that's my position on it.
Here's my concern, and I appreciate both positions. Robin, Maki, and being on the front line, I absolutely appreciate it. And I've listened to everything from White House briefings down to reading individual mail from our citizens. So I moved here for the beach. I'd love to see this beach open. However, with opening the beaches, we've seen in Jacksonville, we've seen in Georgia, we've seen in California that people did not obey the social distancing. It was bedlam. Our own city, our own county expects there to be a spike up and for the first week to be bedlam. So this is like saying, we know we're going to have a problem, but let's just go and do it anyway. And on the last call, Sheriff Galtieri or County Administrator Burton, which one I'm not sure, said, well, it never really hit the peak that we thought it was going to hit in the hospital. So we've got lots of volume, I guess. We have lots of space. So let's go ahead and open it. Well, I don't like being the test subject for how many more people are going to get sick. I don't like that at all. I was at the beach the last day before it closed. I was at the 6th Street beach. And city manager, I think I talked to you about this, it failed. It failed miserably. There were 8 cars out of about 16 that didn't have stickers. People were not keeping social distancing. And my favorite of all, and I hope to God this wasn't a Bel Air Beach resident, was the guy who stuck his finger in his nostril and blew his snot right onto the beach, right into the area where people walked, where it slopes down to the water. I can't get those images out of my head. I don't know how we're going to handle the huge influx of people that will come out to the beach this weekend. And believe me, if Clearwater pulls back in any way, shape, or form, which I doubt they will, we will get their overflow, particularly up at Morgan Street and the Marina. So I guess before I could say whether I'll vote yes or no to reopen these, I really would like to know what we're going to do as a city in terms of stepping up patrol, because I've seen people scaling the wall. I think somebody stole the sign that the beach was closed. We've seen, I've seen it all. I've seen people trespassing on private property to get to the beach. It's crazy, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen when we open them again.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Just to kind of give everybody an understanding of what's happening. The county administrator is bringing a proposal to the county commission tomorrow morning. There's been a lot of discussion, and I know, Mayor, you've heard some of that discussion, but there's been a lot of discussion about, okay, are we going to open the beach and not let them park? Or are we going to open the beach and open the parking lots? And I think the county's the one that's going to make the initial word. Now, us as a city, if the county decides to open the beaches countywide, the city could close their beaches. But that would be a city option. Bel Air Shore has said that they either you open them all in the parking lots or you leave them closed. The situation in Jacksonville, unfortunately, they tried to do it with what I call okay, we're going to open from 6 to 11 and 5 to 8. Well, they had problems in the middle. They're trying to put a good light on it. But tomorrow the county commission will vote whether they open the beaches. And at the last meeting, the discussion mainly was if we open the beaches, it's not going to be for sunbathing. It's going to be for exercise only. And I guess the sheriff will, in our case, patrol it. And I know Clearwater Beach police have been on their beach, because you don't see anyone on Clearwater Beach. So what I'm trying to get from you is how do you want to proceed if the county says to open the beaches? What is your feeling to go along with that? Indian Rocks has said basically the same thing. Either open them all or don't open any. Clearwater has I'll call it a similar plan. So I don't think one city's going to open and another's going to close. It's going to be a united front, I guess, from that standpoint. That's the beaches. I'm going to recommend that we leave City Hall closed until we get past a time that we feel more comfortable. Because the majority of the people that come in City Hall are the public walking the bridge. We have been able to handle permits, beach stickers, anything else we've been able to take care of over the last, 45 days, roughly. And I would recommend, and so is the county, recommend not leaving or not opening the parks because all that will create is more congregation. And the park I'm talking about mainly is Bayside. It has a playground and things, so and we've been able to keep the public out of there pretty well so far. So I just need some feedback on how you want us to go forward.
Can I add something, please?
Sure.
This is Jody. Lynn, as I understand it, and I've been watching the county meetings, as long and boring as they are, it was left that they were going to be asking the cities for input before they voted again tomorrow. And with that being said, my assumption is you will be in contact with someone from the county after this meeting tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send something to the county administrator. That's what I will do.
Okay, so
Some of the other cities had, as an example, Bel Air Shore had a council meeting last week, and that's what they determined. It was just a matter of getting, us together.
So here's my thing is, the beaches don't really matter to me as much as just getting life back to normal, getting people back to work. And how do you start that process? By opening the beaches, releasing some of this, where they are squashing our civil liberties. They are not allowing us to go to public areas that we should be allowed to go to. And I've talked to the sheriff. The sheriff's like, if you're on the beach, I'm not going to arrest you because there's no law that says you can't be on the beach. So the sheriff's hands really tied with regards to that. People can go to our beach all they want. Whether they have parking and access is another story, but I walked the beach yesterday. There were a lot of people on the beach. So I'm just kind of telling you, you're foolish if you think people aren't going to go to the beach. So I am in total support of trying. We've got so many hospitality workers that are out of work. Businesses are failing. I'm in direct contact with some major banks. They've got real concerns, and we've got to get people back to work. I know we have no businesses, and that's not really our core, what Bel Air Beach does, but we have a say when it comes to what the county does. So I would strongly support the county. I think the city of Bel Air Beach should tell the county we want to open and we want services to open so that we can get these people back to work. People are going hungry. I'm involved. I'm out running bread down for families that have no food. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on. The Robin Hockey, the fact that maybe some people may not be working. I'm working pretty regularly, plus doing a lot of service stuff to help families. I've got 15 families I'm helping to feed and make sure they have a roof over their head and getting their rent paid. Not related to me, just trying to keep them going. And they're all single moms. So that, and most of them are out of work because they're in the service industry. My son has been laid off. He's in the travel business. So there's a lot of people affected. And I know us talking about opening the beach is so trivial when we're talking about the economy, but it's a step in opening the economy.
I'll agree with everything you just said, Councilmember Shirley, 100%. We're doing the same thing. We've helped out many families. I pick up groceries. We go to all kinds of different things and provide food for our neighbors and stuff. So yeah, I get it, and I'm 100% behind you on everything you just said. Thank you, Rita.
Hey, Lynn, I'll agree with
Can I
you
make another
on,
comment too?
Wait, hang on one second. Robin, I'm coming back to you. Marv, you haven't spoken yet. Go ahead.
Okay.
all right, I agree with Lynn, we'll keep City Hall closed and Bayside Park, but, I don't know what the county's gonna do as far as parking. If they're gonna do every other parking slot open or closed to keep that distancing, I don't know.
No,
Whatever the county does, what are they doing, Lynn?
the parking is not, they're not looking at social distancing with the parking, to my understanding. They're more looking at social distancing to, keep people apart on the beach. And the last discussion that we had on Friday, I think the thought was to not allow people to, congregate in groups and sunbathe like, we have seen, like what happened at Clearwater Beach, before it got shut down. So, and it sounds like the sheriff's going to try to enforce that with his beach patrols. I'm not sure if he is or isn't, but that's what it sounded like.
Robin Aki?
Yeah, no, I hear everything you guys are saying, and trust me, I totally agree. I know we need to get back. I know all of that. My heart goes out to all the service industry. I mean, everyone's affected. I'm working more, but getting paid less. So, I mean, we all are taking a hit. But I guess my fear is that we do it too soon, the economy be put on hold even longer, because then everything will get shut down again if we have another second peak, and then we're going to be in even dire straits. So if the whole entire county opens up, I'm fine. But if it's up to just our individual beach and that's what we're deciding, then I'm going to say no.
I think what
I'm
we're
not sure
looking at is...
what we're voting on.
Well, hang on. I think, just to clarify, we don't know what the county's going to do tomorrow. Lynn and I were on the same call on Friday, and I've read what Commissioner Burton has written, and I've read what Sheriff Goldieri has written, and they're going to be listened to probably. My expectation, and I could be totally wrong on this, is that the county will reopen the beaches. That doesn't mean we have to reopen ours. We get the final call on anything ours. So that's what this is all about. If the county keeps them closed, we have to keep them closed. If the county opens them, the question is how do we want to deal with it? And my concern that I raised, and Lynn, I didn't hear an answer. What's going to be the step up in sheriff's patrol? He said he had 80 extra officers. But if I go across the street at sunset and see a parking lot full of people that don't belong in this city, that is a private beach. That is not a public beach on 6th Street. That is private for Bel Air Beach residents. The people who come in there are creating a greater density and a greater chance of problems for the Bel Air Beach people. Not to mention the fact that this is exactly what Bel Air Shore complained about a long time ago, which got us gates because of us not controlling the access. So I want to know, and I don't want to see what I saw the day before this thing got closed. I mean, we know when the choke points are. We know it's sunset. We know it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. And my question is what are we going to do to address that? Because if you're telling me we're going to have one sheriff ride through once every 4 hours, I'll be voting no. It's real simple.
Well, the 80 deputies that the sheriff has are basically the school resource officers that are patrolling the county because school's closed. He's using them for that. I can have a discussion with Captain Liner tomorrow and see how he's going to handle this. And, we could use our code enforcement person if we needed to for a few hours here and there. But realistically, the parking area over in Bel Air Shore is Bel Air Shore. So they could, and that's kind of where they're at. If the county opens it, then they're going to open those parking lots. Now, so the sheriff is going to have to control if there's excess people in there.
Right, but the interlocal agreement from 99 puts the responsibility for access to us. It's not Bel Air Shores, it's Bel Air Beach's responsibility. That's what got us gates to begin with, was because it was not being controlled years and years and years ago, long before you and me and everyone else was here. But that's what got that problem. It's our responsibility to control that access point. And I'm saying it's been a bug of mine since before I came on council, but what I saw the day before we closed was disgusting. And if people just think that they're going to just come to a private beach and swim, that is a private beach. It is not open to the public. If you're from Indian Rocks, you're not permitted to be there. That's the rule. I've got the deed. It's real simple. I mean,
Permitted to park there, yes.
Can I make a suggestion? Is it possible that we have a meeting with Bel Air Shores and let's discuss this? I mean, you know, yeah, I understand we have an agreement that it's our responsibility, but the flip side, sorry, yeah, I got a grandson. Sebastian. But you know, this is a unique situation. It's not, you know, maybe we should have that discussion with Bel Air Shores.
yeah, I just want to see the people who don't belong here not here. I have no problem with the Bel Air Beach people going out to the beach, but if half of the spots are going to be for Bel Air, for other people who don't belong here, we have a beach that's only 20 feet wide to begin with. Social distancing is going to become difficult in the best of times there. If we get a high tide, you may not even have 6 feet on the beach. So my concern is you put all these unnecessary people who don't belong there to begin with, and you're going to have problems. And you're going to have more problems than just social distancing. I mean, I could see it getting crowded, and I could see people saying things, and, you know, I mean, we can't have a sheriff 24/7. I understand that, but we can't have a sheriff once every 4 hours either. That's not acceptable.
Well, I will ask the sheriff to do additional patrols there in the evening mainly, because that seems to be the preponderance of it's the sunset that's the issue for the most part. That's the same issue we had with the dogs on the beach last week at sunset. We had to do some additional patrols for that.
Lynn, what about, sorry.
Beaches are public, correct? I mean, beaches are public, the parking is Bel Air Shore. If you see
Beach is
somebody
not
that's
public.
parked there all Florida beaches are public. So if you see somebody parked there that's not supposed to be, you call the sheriff and they ticket them. I mean, and that money goes to Bel Air Shore. It doesn't go to Bel Air Beach anyway, or it shouldn't. But Morgan Park, I understand. But, I mean, we're talking about public beaches here that you can't control who's walking on anyway or anything, and they're only opening it up to exercise, not the people sitting out there and having a party. It's only going to be exercising, so they're not going to be standing around waiting to walk back and forth in that little 20-foot section. I mean, I don't get it. We're talking about something we don't even own.
Okay, I'm going to call on Glenn Gunn, but let me just clear it up because you don't have the deed in front of you and you don't know what you're saying. We do own it. It's deeded to the citizens of Bel Air Beach, east of Gulf Boulevard. It is not Bel Air Shores. Bel Air Shore is the trustee. I've got the legal documents. And our city, by the interlocal agreement, is required, not it's not an option, we're required to control the access. It is not a public beach. You cannot walk across the easement. That belongs actually, Councilman Swope, to you, to me, to Jody Shirley, to Dave Gaddis. We each own a piece of it. The city does not. The city owns a piece by being a property owner east of the Gulf Boulevard. So I don't want to get into this big legal discussion. You don't have the right to come in that parking lot. You can walk along the beach if you come in from Indian Rocks or you come in from Clearwater. That's fine. But you don't have the right to.
And that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying.
But that's what the people are doing. 8 cars without stickers. That's half the lot.
I I'm not gonna get into this. I mean, if you see a car there parked without a sticker, call the cops, that's what we're supposed to do. And they will be ticketed for parking there. So, I mean, I don't understand why that's an issue. It should have never been an issue because the parking has always been with sticker only. So they will ticket the people. All you gotta do is call them.
Glenn, go ahead.
I support opening the beaches. I think the only way you have of mitigating this thing is the parking. I'm in complete agreement with Rita. I mean, there's no way of stopping the foot traffic. People walking across from Indian Rocks Beach or from Clearwater Beach. So Morgan Park is an issue. If we want to mitigate public beach access at Morgan Park, then you close the parking lot. If you want to control access to the Bel Air Shores beaches that we have access through, you can control that by having either, I thought it was brilliant, using a code enforcement guy to make a round through there, or Lynn Reeves, can you have more directed patrols by our on-duty guy to every hour or two swing through and ticket cars that don't have Bel Air Beach stickers on them? Lynn Reeves?
Yeah, we can get more patrols, and I just want to kind of, Mr. Burton's, what his consideration to do is for exercise only, that's his step one, and prohibiting items such as chairs, coolers, and blankets, and maintain social distancing. And he says in his recommendation to the county commission that they have to follow the guidelines, no more than 10 people in a group, and the sheriff is going to be allocating resources to that. Also, they're talking about opening the condo pools with a 50% maximum bathing load. So, as an example, if a condo pool's got allocation for 100 people, they can only put 50 people out there. And no changes, do not open the public playgrounds, they would remain closed. That's what he is recommending tomorrow. And, based on where we're at, after this meeting, I will send him something as far as the city council's position on all of them.
Lynn, do you also wish to keep the state of emergency order that this council approved about a month back in effect at this? I mean, again, assuming that we don't know what the governor is going to do, but assuming that things don't change radically, are we going to keep that going?
We'll keep that until, I think we need to leave that at this point until we really find out what the governor's going to do. And
Okay.
he's kind of keeping his cards closed.
Okay. I will be in contact with you because I think the governor's set to act, I think tomorrow or possibly Wednesday. They don't know when. But when we hear from him, you and I can speak. If you want it removed, I can remove it, but it's the same deal. Then the council has to meet to verify it. So.
Yeah, and then, and it sounds like is everyone okay with leaving City Hall closed and Bayside Park closed?
I'm going to call it as one question.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Glenn's nodding, I'm nodding, yeah. We're going to call it as one question, though, basically. But is there other debate or any other points? I just want to make sure everyone's able to be heard.
I just wanted to add last comment, which is we have to stop and think about how we got here. Obviously, we know there's a virus going on, but what actually got the beaches closed was not the virus. It was one town slightly north of us that allowed a massive, uncontrolled party to persist. It just kept going. It was just raging. And they were collecting as much money as they possibly could. And the way that the county operates, instead of saying, you have to do this, they said, everyone, you've ruined it for everyone. one town ruined it for the entire county. And it didn't have to be this way. And at the end of the day, whenever they start opening things back up, if that party environment comes back and they're not taking care of their beaches, I think it's the responsibility of this council, along with all of our neighbors in neighboring small towns that don't have this giant party atmosphere, to step up to the county and say, we don't want you to shut the entire county down. We want you to do something about the problem, not everyone, because it didn't have to be this way. There's no reason at all why we couldn't have been walking our beaches all this time, but they forced it on us. And that's all I've got to say, really. But it's something it's been weighing on my chest for a while, and I felt like it needed to be said.
You're totally correct. Well, and Lynn, I was gonna say, when Lynn went back to the county, you maybe should mention that if, we're on board with what the county, approves, but if there's a problem on Stillwater Beach, they need to handle Stillwater Beach as a separate item and not include the entire county.
Right, in the future, yes. Okay.
Yeah, for future.
And Lynn, to that point, I mean, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but the easement areas in Bel Air and again, I'm holding the deed, so people can argue the law all day with me if they want. Those are private beaches. So they had no right to close those, and I didn't make a big issue out of it because I thought that the public safety concern, particularly since we didn't know really where this thing was going, we still don't know where it's going, okay? But the public safety concern, I think, trumped any, whether it's private or public. But make sure they understand that those are private beaches. Private. They're not pre-nourished. They're private. And next time they decide to close the private beach of this community, I'd appreciate they getting in contact with you or me or someone else on this county, on this council, and letting us know. This time I was nice. I might not be so nice next time. And by the way, no one reached out to me from the county for our input. No one. And I've been on most of the calls.
That's why I'm asking this question, because, we really haven't had any, I have to say, to be honest with you, they're more worried about the places where the tourists would go. And hopefully, when they open them, the tourists will go there and not bother us.
So, most likely. Lynn, have you given any consideration? I know you and Kyle, I think Laura too, three of you, are you all authorized to write summonses and do code enforcement if necessary?
Yeah, we're authorized to write parking tickets, code enforcement. So, the staff has authority. Issue with doing something in the easement is that we would go over there and write the ticket, but the revenue would go to Bel Air Shore. And
Yeah, I'm not worried about the revenue. I wouldn't care. I'm just worried about the safety. I'm not worried about the revenue.
Okay.
Who else?
Okay. It sounds like we'll just.
Lynn, I'm going to call it as a question. I want to get a vote on the record. So
Okay.
Does anybody have any comments though before we get into a question here? I'm just going to do it as 4 parts here. Okay. So here's what we're voting on. And it's all or none, all right? Keep City Hall closed until such time that we have another meeting and decide otherwise. Keep all the parks closed, including Bayside Park. Lynn, does that also mean the Marina Park is closed?
No, I would open that if they open the beaches.
Okay, so Marina Park opens. We will reopen the beaches for exercise or basically in consideration of whatever the county is saying. Again, we're not going to go above the county. They have to open it up first, but we will reopen for either exercise. But if they say they're fully reopened, then they're fully reopened. And number 4, state of emergency. We will keep it in place until such time that the governor seems to remove his state of emergency. That's the way I see the question. Does anybody see it differently?
I think we need to add one other question, and that would be, if the beach is open, will City Hall parking be closed? Because that's a parking spot for many non-residents that want to go to the beach.
The only problem with that is they're walking, right? They're using it for the bridge walk now.
Yeah.
They are.
What I see them do is they drop off their family at the gate and then park at City Hall and walk over, then one part of them walks back over. Just an observation, and there's always a large gathering at the first access north of the light, and I don't know what street that is, but
12.
Hey, Lynn, I have a question. Is it possible that we could reduce the maximum time you could buy on a parking meter?
Well, I guess we could adjust it.
If say we only sold 1 hour tickets during this time, would that not help alleviate some of the issues that we foresee with the beach?
Well, other than the fact that they could come back and buy a 1 hour ticket in an hour, it'd be just cumbersome.
Could we just increase the rate where it's costing them more to park there? Because we're still making money off those parking meters in the City Hall parking lot. I mean, obviously we need that revenue.
I hate to say it, but I think it would be in poor taste to raise our revenue because of a pandemic.
Yeah, I wouldn't even, I would recommend we leave the parking fees as they are right now.
Yeah, you're probably correct. That'd be gouging.
Yeah, we are enforcing the parking here in City Hall still, and we haven't had a lot of that contributed recently. So as long as we continue to enforce it, if they don't pay it, of course, they pay $35. We'll just have to monitor and see if it gets worse and if it is going to 12th Street.
So it looks like we have, I don't see Jody, I think she stepped away. So we had the 4 questions, but do we want the 5th issue with City Hall parking, or is that resolved?
I would say it's resolved.
Okay. I'm just going to wait for Jody to come back, because we're going to take this to a vote. Dave, you brought this, so you get the last word if you want.
I think I've said enough.
We're stalling for time. I'm waiting for Jody to come back.
Well, while you're waiting, then I'll knock out a couple things that we probably need to discuss shortly. The next council meeting is, of course, next Monday. The only thing on the agenda currently is the ordinance to change the fines for irreparable in the code, raising it to a maximum of $5,000, which that's our limit. But mainly that's more directed to the short-term rental, multiple time people, and we've discussed that.
Lynn, hold that thought. Jody's back. Let's get this question called, and then we'll move on, and we'll give you an opportunity to brief us on what else is upcoming attractions, okay? Okay. Have the last word?
That's it.
Okay. No, I was asking Jody with her granddaughter. Jody, so basically we went with the 4, and I think what people seem to think was that we won't do anything with the City Hall parking. So to go through real quickly again, City Hall stays closed, all the parks stay closed, except for the marina, if that's considered a park. We reopen the beach for exercise or whatever the county recommends, and along with the timetable that the county gives us, and we keep the state of emergency in place pending whatever happens in Tallahassee with the governor. That's what we're voting on. A yes vote means that's what we're going to do. A no vote, if you have any problem with any of that, you can vote no to all of it. That's it, all right? Everybody good? Madam Clerk, will you please call it?
Councilmember Beam,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis, Councilmember Shirley,
Aye.
Councilmember Swope,
Aye.
Councilmember Aki,
No.
Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
You know what? I'm going to say no on this one. So it's going to pass 5-2. So Lynn, please convey our comments as you
Yeah, I will.
recorded them.
Yep.
And we'll be watching, and let's see how, and I really hope that it goes well, and I wish everybody safety and that everything does go well for everyone. We're going to move forward, and we'll deal with this on Monday and see what happens in our meeting. So that actually concludes the items on the agenda, but I think, Lynn, you said you had some items for us to consider because we have another meeting coming up Monday, so I'll turn the floor over to you.
Yeah, just the only thing currently on the agenda for Monday is the ordinance or the amending section 2-248B to raise what has been a $1,000 fine for short-term rentals to a potential of a $5,000 fine, which is within the state statute that we can do. So, and we've talked about that before. So that's the only thing currently on the agenda. Other things that aren't so heavy, we'll push on, and hopefully we can do them in a regular meeting together, I guess, in the future here shortly. Just to give you a quick update, the stormwater fee, based on our projects, and I've talked to a couple of you, came back at like $74 a month. They are doing some things to evaluate the $15 a month fee, and I'll be talking we had a conference call today, and I'll probably be talking to each one of you individually to see what your thoughts are on the stormwater fee, because we're still trying to move forward with that, and I'll have a report from them that I can share with you hopefully in the next day or two. And other than that, stay safe. We're working on the budgets. We're going to be sending out here shortly the CIP, the capital budget tool for you to rank them, and we kind of got that in a pretty good order now, and that's all I really have at this point.
Okay.
I would like to make a final comment. This is the council member, Dave Geddes. I am so sorry for your loss of your grandmother. My heart and our prayers are with you, so.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't hear about your loss.
My grandmother, she was
Sorry to hear that.
nearly 100, great lady, and huge influence on my life, and a very special close friend of mine. So,
Except my
Sorry to hear
condolences
that,
also.
Dave.
Sorry, very sorry, Dave.
Really, Dave, sorry to hear that, Scott. Please accept
Anyone else have
my
I'm sorry. Any other comments by anyone?
Just a
All right,
question.
folks.
I have a question. Have we lost track of the charter review, and when are we going to start seeing those questions? When will council start seeing that information? And does it make sense to have a council meeting next week? Should we postpone for a couple of weeks and try to have something more substantial to talk about at the council meeting, such as the storm water and those charter questions and so forth?
Yeah, I'm with you, Jody. I think just to have we just had this meeting, which almost functions as a council meeting. We have charter review recommendation. We have a planning board recommendation. We have finance committee recommendation. We have the budget coming up. So I think our break here, was necessary, but I do think we're going to have many more meetings like this because we got to start tackling this stuff. I mean, Lynn and I have been talking about it and trying to, see where this thing was going to go, but it's not going anywhere right now. We're going to have to start having meetings because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's just some of those things alone, 80-page recommendations. It's going to take us a while to go through them. We've got a parks grant that needs to be given the up or down vote. We've got a lot of work between now and June, so it's up to the council. I'll do whatever you'd like. I mean, we could have multiple meetings per month. I think they have to be like this for now. And, it's up to you. I mean, we can, but I don't know that we should have one on Monday for one issue. I'm with you.
Well, the issue is, and Fred would have to answer this, the resolution that you passed to cancel the meetings states the next meeting, regular meeting will be May 4th. And I would think you would have to have a resolution to change that. Fred, can you?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So even though it's only one item, you know, I think at this point, because we don't have a resolution to change that, so we'd have to have another meeting to do that anyway.
My recommendation is, because we're in a volatile situation right now, we don't know what's going to happen. Things that we may do may very well be in response to things that the county does. So probably not a bad idea to go ahead and have that meeting, even if it's a short one, because something may come up, and I don't want to wait if that's the case.
And this way too, you will have met the requirement by the charter to have the meeting for May, and any other meetings that we want to have, we can schedule them as we need to at that point.
Lynn, why don't we, if I might suggest, and again, the council, the whole council is here right now. Most of the council was involved on the charter review committee, and if you weren't, I think most people are aware of what what was done. There is some sensitivity in terms of deadlines for the election. We have to get stuff over to our city attorney so that he can draft the proper ballot language. Sometimes I'm totally wrong on this, but I don't see a lot of debate on it. Is it something maybe we want to throw on for Monday? And I'll start with the little guy here, the grandson. Now, whoever wants to go, but...
I think anything we can add to the Monday meeting would be helpful. I think we've got a lot to chip away at. Well, we could add, go ahead. Just that we keep it on the calendar. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rita. We can add the communication committee. We've already had the applicants submit for that, and we need a panel of 5, but we have 5 applicants. So we could add that and get that voted on, get that moving along.
Now, it's important to get this increase in fines, that's for sure. Lynn's waited for a long time, and I think we're going to need it, because if this breaks loose and they start renting these houses out again, it's very possible that we may need that.
Yeah, because that will take a second reading, which will be the first reading.
Right.
We can do the second reading at a non-regular meeting, though, correct?
I guess you could, but I would think that we'd want to do it at a regular meeting so we can advertise it properly.
Okay.
Yeah, because that takes time. I mean, it takes, what, Patty, 2 weeks
Yes.
by the time? Yeah. So I think we're okay with that. It's just anything else you want me to add to it, or we can schedule a virtual work session and discuss a lot of this stuff. It's up to you.
Well, I think the Charter Review Committee has given recommendations. There was 5 people from council on that thing, so as long as the people who were on it believe in what was done, it should be a relatively quick meeting, but it does have to be discussed. So before we open up any new committees, let's take care of the committees that we have given us a lot of work and a lot of effort. I think they deserve answers, and if necessary, if we need more information from them, while they still have their members intact and interested and it's still current, to give them feedback. I mean, there's some detailed, the planning board alone is 90 pages of recommendations, so.
So is what I'm hearing, you want to discuss the charter amendments wants to add that to it, and I guess that would mean, Fred would have to give his input for Monday. Is that what you're looking at?
I'm still also looking at the communication, committee to be on there as well.
Anyone else? Glenn?
I'll just say first and foremost, I'm with Dave, but it's on the schedule. Let's just have the meeting. Lynn Reed already has an agenda item. If there's some other things, maybe submit an email to Lynn Reed, let him kind of vet the list and come up with something. Just because it's on the agenda doesn't mean we have to have long, protracted discussions or take action items on them at that time. We can always defer and push it down the road and start building an agenda and run it up the flagpole and see how it looks.
Just go ahead and run it on our normal agenda deadline. That would be Wednesday, correct, Patty?
Tuesday.
Tomorrow. Well, we've all got some good ideas, so we'll, what do you think, everybody, just to email our agenda items and let's have a meeting?
Lynn, I think you need to be flexible. I think we need to see where the county and the state goes, because I think we need to be flexible. That can change quite a bit, obviously. So, who knows what they're coming. So I think let's leave as long as you can possibly keep it open, let's keep it open, but going forward with the Monday meeting, and then we'll submit you whatever items we have for consideration. But just understand that, come Wednesday morning, we may have a different perspective when the governor speaks.
Yeah, and there again, we'll still try to keep the agenda to a limitation, because virtually it is a struggle to try to make sure we have a good discussion. So we'll just plan on moving forward. If you've got anything, I think what I heard is you want to discuss the charter review committee so we can move that to the city attorney. And going forward and get the council's buy-in to what was discussed. And then communications committee, that's really up to the group. What do you guys want to do? There were 5 applications, I will tell you that. And I can tell you the names. Dave, of course, was the council member. Steve Swope was one of the residents. Rob Risberg was one. Leslie Notaro was one, and Kathleen Glazer was the other. So those are the applications we have for the spots that are on the committee.
I'm good with putting it on the agenda. I think we have enough people to even vote on all of them and let them all pass through, because they're all important people in our community and they should be heard and have their opinions and ideas put forth before the council.
All right, Lynn, everyone's going to give their recommendations to you. I've got a problem with that panel. I got big problems with that panel. I also have problems that this application process was done in the middle of when City Hall was closed and when we were in the middle of a state of emergency. So we'll deal with that next week. Let's put it on and we'll have a discussion and we'll see where we're going to go with that. And invite every one of those people to come and make a presentation. It's a shame it won't be in person to us, but have them come and make their virtual presentation, and please set up, if they could, so that it's a virtual presentation so we can see them and they can see us, if we will, if we're going to discuss this, because I have some issues on that panel. All right, let's adjourn this meeting. Does anybody else have anything else of pressing need before we adjourn? I hear nothing. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And second, I think there was a second in there. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Have a good evening. We'll see everybody on Monday. Get your comments in to Lynn. Lynn, try and keep it open as long as possible so that everyone can deal with whatever the governor has to say, okay?
Okay, yeah, Mayor, we'll probably talk tomorrow anyway, so.
Okay, and Fred, you've just given me a text message. The answer is yes. Please stop over, but you have to do it soon, okay?
Yes, sir.
Good night, everyone. Fred, did you hear me?
Good night, stay safe and healthy.
Fred?
Thank you all.
He didn't hear you.
Okay, bye.
Yes, sir, I'll be there.
Hang on.
Mayor, did you hear Fred? He said he would be there.
Okay, good. I didn't hear him. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.